support just overall well-being, just being happier. And so that's everything that I'm going to go into today. And so that being said, teachers, if possible, please let your students take out their cell phones. I would love for them to be able to just take a moment to scan, download, engage, so that they have this resource available for later. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to sharing my screen. There we go. Can I go ahead and get confirmation you guys are seeing my screen? Yep. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So I'm going to dive right on in, and I should ask, Mr. DeFlitch, how much time do I have? Just so I can kind of gauge.
We've got about 30 minutes, I would say max, but maybe closer to like 25, 28, so they got time to wrap up.
Okay, perfect. Not a problem. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reset this so I have my timer. All right, I'm going to dive right on in, but you guys do see there is a QR code there on the screen. You're welcome to either scan that now, but you'll have more opportunities throughout. The app is just called Soluna, so it's on the Google Play Store. It's also on the Apple Play Store. And so just feel free to download that as we're going through. But I want to start off with talking about happiness. We're talking about emotions. We're talking about just your mental health. And mental health tends to get sometimes not necessarily a good, like there's not always a good thoughts about things like mental health, right? So I want to kind of first talk about what does that mean? Really, honestly, everything you're seeing here on the screen right now is what mental health is. It's really just thinking about your ability to manage all of your emotions, right? So I want you to stop and think. We're on Thursday, okay? How have you felt this week? Everything that you have felt this week. I want everyone to just kind of take a moment, look at all of our little funny gifts here, and just think about how many out of these 8 have you felt? Honestly, I've already felt all of them. This morning, Mr. DeFlitch, when that music was on, I was actually excited. So that was actually kind of nice for an 8 a.m. presentation. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So I'd love to just ask, Mr. DeFlitch, since I have you on here, what have you been feeling this week?
I would actually, when you said all of them, I was just like, yeah, and it's kind of weird too when you've got like both feelings at the same time for different reasons. But I would definitely say all of them. I would say at this point, I am most excited because we did just finish up what is a historic Q1. We're starting to look at numbers, and I'm really excited of everything the kids are doing. And so I've been really excited now to see that they're here and we're doing it. What is Q2 going to look like? So I'm just super excited at this point, really.
Right. And when we start thinking about how everybody else is probably feeling, one thing that our kids are probably excited for, Halloween, right? My daughter's super excited for that. She's actually going to be the same thing as her best friend, and that was totally by chance. And so I'm excited for that too. And just, really honestly, it's okay though that we go through these different emotions throughout the week. This morning, I was that little baby on the couch, right? This morning, I did not want to have to get up super early, do my early drop off and all of that. And then I got my coffee and I was starting to feel, I'm okay. Then I came in and there was that music for Halloween, which just got me more excited for Halloween. So just, that's mental health, guys. And that's okay. And that's really what we're here to kind of talk about today. Mental health essentially looks like the fact that one moment you might be more on that red in crisis, right? You might be exhausted. You might be feeling very anxious. Okay, maybe it's test time. Maybe there's something going on at home. That's okay. The idea about mental health is to try to be more in that thriving and excelling more often than not, right? We don't want to be in that in crisis, struggling, or surviving. Survival mode, that's where that comes from. We think about, okay, I'm just in survival mode all the time. That's all mental health is, finding a more healthy balance. And so that's what Soluna is meant for. It's meant to give you tools and resources to be able to find that healthy balance, okay? And so essentially, thinking about why mental health matters, right? You guys are always thinking about things like fitness and sports and, being able to run and play your sports and things like that require you to be able to do things like practice, eat healthy, right? Get good sleep, train, all of those different things that you have to do in order to have good physical health, right? Same thing for school. In order to be able to be, have the ability to do well in school, you have to be able to study, you have to be able to sleep, you have to have a good environment, right? Same thing for mental health. The idea is going to be able to do things like accepting yourself, right? That was something I struggled with in high school, feeling, positive thoughts, being that person where I felt like I could have that positive voice inside my head. So positive body image, feeling positive about yourself in general, right? Relationship challenges, friendships, the ups and downs that I had throughout high school. Now that was a lot. Okay. So that in itself, being able to balance feeling more happy, feeling more on that positive side when you're dealing with relationships. And that's normal. That's okay. That is literally what life is half the time.
And we've been talking a lot this year about those relationships, because we've noticed that really as kids get to 8th and 9th grade, friendships and friend groups often evolve and change rapidly. But one thing we're talking about is how do we, in a healthy way, end relationships and then start new relationships without just ghosting and leaving people behind, because it's not something we readily talk about in society when these groups develop and then break up. But yeah, that's been a big one for us this year that we've been talking about with the relationships.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when we go into what Soluna is, one of the things in there is, one of my favorite parts is you're going to be able to talk with peers, and I'll go deeper into that in a bit, but where that way you feel like you can actually talk with each other, others across the state, and we're actually branching into other states, so other across the United States, without having to know who each other are and without having to worry about what's posted. And we'll talk about why, because it is moderated, okay? So definitely having that space is definitely something that's important, because that also goes into things like, this one goes, I'm going to skip over to knowing how to cope with emotions, but let's say you're trying to talk to somebody, right? And you're trying to explain how you're feeling, whether it's because of the fact that the relationship is, not healthy, or maybe there's just something else going on. You have anxiety, there's other things that you're experiencing that you need to talk through. Many times we don't either A, know how to realize how we're feeling, we don't know how to identify how we're feeling or why we're feeling that way. Or maybe we do, but we don't know what to do about it, right? So that's going to be another thing in here, learning tools and strategies, or being able to talk to somebody who is trained in mental health to help you learn how to have those hard conversations, how to work through hard emotions, or just something maybe negative that happened, right? So those are all very important. And then stress and pressure. You guys got an awesome principal, honestly. I'm going to tell you that. I'm not just saying that. But you're still going to have stress and pressure, right? With those grades, with trying to do well, and just everything, even outside school, balancing everything. Some of you guys might start having a job soon. I had my first job at 16. Balancing that, right? Balancing everything else that's happening. And so we want you to understand that it's okay to need help. It's okay to find tools and resources to, build a healthier balance. And that's really all this is. So before I shift into an overview of Soluna, I want to ask Mr. Difflett, you had some good points. Anything else that you want to kind of sum up or say before we shift into Soluna?
Yeah, listen, I've had a lot of conversation with a lot of the kids out of this 1,200 population. I'd say two things, thinking about both the adults and the kids on campus, y'all. So first, kids, listen, for the adults on campus, the one thing I want you to know is that, when we were looking at that color scale, okay, I know for most of us in the adult day, we try to stay in that green for you. And I know you see me as cheerful, joyful, energetic every day, but I can tell you there are some days when I'm here where I feel like I'm in the red, right? From things going on outside of school, things going on back with extended family in Pennsylvania. Sometimes I'm in the yellow, but as adults, the one thing we try to do is we try to bucket that a little bit and show up in the green for you guys, because we don't want to be an added piece of stress. We don't want to be an added piece. We want to be a place that you feel that positivity, but do know as adults that it isn't all sparkly green all the time. And that's why we want to talk to you transparently about it. And we want you to develop the tools, because we as adults who have the tools, we're navigating this. And it's going to be something that's unavoidable. And I think if you go back to the other slide you were on with the list of the 4 groups of words, the one thing I can say is y'all need to accept yourselves. If I go back to even my high school, I would say that the biggest thing I did not do is I continually got in my head and focused on all of the negatives that I could perseverate on about myself. Well, what if they see this? Well, what if they think this? Well, what if they notice this? Well, are they all thinking and talking about this? And I never just stopped, and nobody ever stopped to say, like, dude, just accept who you are. Like, be you be you keep growing, you keep doing the right thing, and the right people who like you will accept you, and the people who don't accept you are the people that you probably don't want to be around. And I think if I can encourage you all to do one thing is, like, put that sticky note that says, I love me, up next to your bed in your bathroom, and just remind yourself every day that you're an amazing individual and that you believe it too. But yeah, that would be the other one that stuck out as you were talking.
Yeah, and I love to hear that. Thank you for that, because I will focus on that then when I go into that too. That's something I'm still working on. We call it positive self-talk. Positive affirmations. Guys, I'm in my early 30s, and it's something I still work on every day. And I try to do it especially for my daughter, because she's only 7. And there are times where I will hear her literally, like, we'll be doing homework and she'll, oh, I'm so stupid. And I'm like, no, you are not. You're still learning. You're still trying, honey. You're only 7. And, you know, she learns those things from others that she sees. She learns those things from me as well. And so I have to constantly remind myself, that's very important. But we all do struggle with it. And it's something that many of us are still working on. That's something I'm still working on, that positive self-talk. So that just as, you know, Mr. Flitch said, I can have more of that positive experience around her. But we have to work really hard at that every day.
Yep.
So some days more than others. So I honestly wish I had something like this when I was your age, or even in college. It would have been so helpful. So what I'm going to do is I will actually shift into the app where I can take you slower through it. But I wanted to just kind of like do a quick overview because I wasn't too sure how much time we would have. And big things, okay? First of all, you can scan it right there right now. Again, if you have your phone out, so you can kind of click around and explore with us. But 3 big things it has. It has that peer community, okay? So it's all going to be pre-moderated, which means anything that is posted, it's not going to be like Reddit, where you go and you're like asking a question to see what others say, and there's offensive stuff, okay? It's not going to be like that. Everything that is posted needs to be approved first. So you're going to submit your response to a discussion board. You're going to submit your response to an article or to a poll or a prompt. And it's going to say sit tight, and it's going to tell you that it needs to be approved, which means that we're taking into account emojis. We're taking into account, are you giving out your personal information? If we don't want you to say your name, anything like that, what school you go to or anything, okay? And then also we're taking into account, like, is it triggering to other people? We want to make sure it's appropriate and that anything that you read or any responses that you get or that you give are all going to be helpful to others, right? So that's a great safe space to be able to engage with others that are in your age group about similar topics and see what others are saying without having to know each other and without having to have that difficult conversation, right? Another area is going to be self-support tools, a whole bunch of things. One of the big ones is going to be those positive affirmations. It actually helps you practice that. There's also journaling and things like that. And then there's one-on-one coaching. And that is really the big thing because you're going to be able to text or video chat with a counselor for free. Everything in here is free. Everything in here is paid by the state. So the idea is you don't have to, if you need to talk it out, you need to talk it out with somebody who you know is experienced in that field. You can do that without having to actually go and tell somebody that you need to do that, right? So it's meant to be a safe, anonymous space. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick overview. This is what it looks like when you log in. You can browse different topics. Okay, living with anxiety is the one I clicked on, and it gives you different constellations where then you can see different tools and things based on a topic, because maybe there's a certain topic you're focusing on, okay? You notice I was just clicking into tools and I was like, I want to browse the library. I want to see what topics there are. All the different tools all in one if I'm operating under my sky. Because then again, it's all going to be based on finding something that relates to a certain topic, things that help me live with anxiety. Now I clicked on tools. When I'm going through tools, there's all those things, thought shakers, let it out, noise cleanse. This one's the positive thoughts. I am good enough. Okay. You just shake it and it gives you positive thoughts. The next one is community. Right here, you notice you're exploring. There are different forms, questions, things that you can actually respond on. Okay, there's a lot more on the actual side. This is the demo side. But the idea would be is that you can then respond on these forums. You can put your own new post if you have a question, something that's happening and you want to ask the community, right? You can reply to those posts. Others can reply. You can heart things. Everything here, though, is pre-moderated.
Allie, if there's one thing I can jump in for just about our kiddos. We've been talking a lot about social media and the dangers of social media and technology. This is the opposite of that, is showing you the positive things that could be there. And the one thing I do just want to highlight for you guys is 2 pieces. One, the moderation piece. TikTok ain't moderated. So I could go on and start giving people advice on how to perform heart surgery and pretend I'm a doctor. And there's no credibility behind the platform to have to take me down for spewing things that I'm not an expert in. And this is moderated by experts and people so that it is built to keep that community. And the second thing is, because of where it is located, its servers and those things, there's extra data protection. There are extra protection pieces in those. unlike other apps like TikTok and others that are existing outside of the country. And so those pieces you want to take into account that like, hey, are you getting your information from something that's unmoderated and that your data could be exposed? Or are you actually going to something that has credibility like Soluna? That's the only thing I wanted to add in about the moderation piece.
No, I love that because I was actually, since we have the time, let me see if I thought I did it correctly. Let's see here. I was sharing from my phone. I joined for 2. Yes, start here. Okay, perfect. So that I can go a little bit slower, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start off over at these tools. Okay. One of the ones that I wanted to show you based on the conversation that we were having, right, is that thought shaker right here, boost confidence, right? Self-esteem, because I mean it can be hard to think of positive things to say to yourself. And that's something then that we need to practice on, right? So it wants you to like shake the phone. And if you have the app, right, and if you already scanned it, then this is something you can do. I'm worthy and capable of accomplishing my dream, right? And this is something then that you can do on a regular in terms of like thinking of positive things. Your now is not your forever. I love that one. That is a very important thing to keep in mind. So if you need to practice, positive self-talk, things for positivity, positive affirmations, this is something you can do. And then ones that really resonate with you, write it on that sticky note, write it down in your journal. Let that be something that then you repeat to yourself, right? That's one. There's other things in here like breath work, noise cleanse. One that I really like is the free write, because maybe you want, and this just so that this is letting you know like, hey, we have regular checks in here, right? The counselors are checking to make sure that you're okay. We're making sure everything that is posted is safe. And so same thing when it comes to your journal. We're letting you know like, hey, we're gonna make sure that if there's anything that's going on based on what you put in your journal, somebody might reach out to you to ask if you want to talk. That's okay. This is all meant to be your space to be able to talk about what's happening. Anything that you put in here, this is all anonymous to you. The only people who can see it are our counselors, okay? This does not get posted in the community. This is your journal to be able to write. And honestly, sometimes that's all you need, just to kind of let it out, right? That's another one that I really like. And then coming back over here, let's see, Starboard. This is really cool. This is just like a tool to like, kind of like fidget spinners, So different things in here, right? For you to be able to just, practice coping strategies, things like that, set goals, do a mood log. Something I really like, a mood log. I wish I had this. This is an intuitive mood log. So it's not just how are you feeling today. It's how are you feeling and why, right? So like I might say, maybe I'm low energy, I'm feeling a little unpleasant, not that unpleasant. And maybe it's because it has to do with, maybe there's something going on with my friends. And then I track that. And you notice how like I start to see when I'm feeling unpleasant or low energy, what exactly like is kind of happening with me over the last 30 days, right? And so this is something that, you want to just be able to build those skills and strategies to be able to identify when you're feeling a certain way. Okay. So a lot of different tools. Anything you want to add on there?
No, I'm just more amazed about the fact that the state and ultimately like taxpayers worked on this and came together, and that the state backed this, because I'm gonna be honest, guys, like listen, 20 years ago when I was in high school, I met with my school counselor once in my junior year, and I remember the meeting so specifically because he essentially sat me down and said, here's your transcript, you can't go to college, what would you like to do instead? And that was the only time I ever met with a school counselor. And I'm telling you that because the world has changed so much. And I would say on two fronts. One is there are a lot more stresses for teenagers today than that there were 20 years ago. I am undeniable about that. And I have told you guys that you handle a lot more than most of us has when we were teenagers. But on the flip side of that, you also have a lot more resources and a lot more outlets and a lot more support and a larger community of people who are here to support and knowledgeable about it than we've ever had before. And so just seeing this, it's one of those things where like if you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I don't have a lot of self-confidence, then the thing is like, this is a great way to take action and do something to start trying to find a tool that works for you. And it might be that one works and it might be a different one works, but it's about continually trying to find that tool that is going to help you in your stability, your comfort, your happiness, and navigating the roller coaster and up and down that just generally happens in life.
Yeah, definitely. Love that. I'll just say before I shift out of this, to let it out. This is meant to be one. You hold the screen. I have my finger on it right now, and you can like move it around as you're saying what you're feeling, the things that you want to release. And once you're done, you let go, and it just like you're releasing it, right? You're letting go of it. Just kind of like let it out, right? Let go of those negative feelings. But yeah. Okay. So the next thing, though, community, right? So there's not as much in here as there would be on your side, but keeping in mind, let me move my, oops, what did I just do? No, that is not what I wanted to do. Go back. I was trying to move my face out of the way. But so keeping in mind right here, right up at the top, you notice it says explore and forms. So there's different areas. You might explore like the reflection that's currently for this week, the poll that's currently for this week, right? What would you spend your first big paycheck on, right? And go ahead and engage and see what others are doing. Honestly, I would love like a dream vacation. And then this shows you 43 other % of people say that or saving it for a future goal, right? So,
I'm sorry. That's good for them to put that.
Right. That's because this is the demo side.
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
But right, so to see what others are putting, there will be different polls each week, and let me move that. There we go. There will be different polls each week, different reflection questions that you can respond to. So, like, what's one thing that people always get wrong about Gen Z? I honestly have no idea what I would say to that one. Do you have anything that you would say?
I'll be honest. I am not a person that's clear on like where Gen Z, Gen X, like all the different gens are. So I am the clueless person in that process as well.
Right. Oh, one of the things you probably get a lot wrong in that area, right? Like,
yep.
Who are they? I don't remember. But so different things like that, right? Those change weekly, so those are kind of fun. And then going to the forums, right? This is where maybe you have a post, maybe you want to ask something, right? Ask a question, share a story, get some advice. Totally up to you. What's your title? What are you trying to say? And then I'm just going to put here test, so it goes quick. There we go. Right? And you notice how it says sit tight, right? It has to be approved first. And so it's going to be that way for everything. We want to make sure that it's not going to be negative. We want to make sure that we're not going to just tell you that you don't get to go to college and that sucks. And so we want to make sure that everything here is something that, you benefit from. So anyone else feel like this app is just too good to be true? How do I tell my parents I'm gay? Are people watching the Olympics stressed out about going to a new school? Anyone dislike Mondays? Random.
Yeah.
Right? And so being able to engage, and then, of course, when you go in, seeing what others have put, this is interesting because this is anything that we put, more like a Garfield, dislike Mondays, and love lasagna. Okay. All right. So just being able to, engage with others in a safe space, okay? Because everything is pre-moderated and no one knows who you are. You notice these, like when people look expressive, astral BMX, or artful puppy wildlife, when you sign up, you choose things that you like and it comes up with a username for you. Okay, so it has nothing to do with who you are, what school you go to, your birthday, anything like that. Everything is anonymous. Shifting over before I go to chat, do you have anything that you want to add on that?
No, I think the only thing with the post that I want to say is like, listen, y'all, this is not a place to post if you are in immediate need of crisis, right? You have the numbers on the back of your ID badges. You have, for many of you, you've received a lot of that information as well throughout the time. But if you are a friend or a family member in immediate need of crisis, this would not be the route. You would want to call the help or the hotline to make sure you're getting a hold of an expert that's trained in immediate crisis prevention and process, which I can see you going there already. This would be a place where, hey, I'm not in a point of crisis, but I'm really stressed out. I'm really anxious. I have some other things that if I just talk to people and find a community and some things, I might be able to develop some tools. But in a moment of crisis, you got the numbers and the contact up there. So I'll let Allie step in at that point.
Yeah, no, love that. I skipped on over to the safety over at the bottom right here. And you'll notice that when you click on the safety, there's two different things, right? One is like if you need urgent support, whether or not it's crisis support options up there at the top, or, as mentioned, it might be something else, right? And, whatever it is that you need, we have all of those national resources posted here so that you have easy, quick access to it, okay? There are other aspects there. When you're in the safety, you'll notice that there's local services. This is for like, let's say outside of, it's maybe not an immediate thing, but it's also not something that, a counselor in the app or any of our tools can help you with, but you need support outside. We want you to be able to find things without having to go on Google and just search, because oh my goodness, the things that come up, right? So you could click local services instead of the crisis support or the urgent support. And then here, one of two things. You can either browse on your own. Maybe you're more comfortable with that, right? Like maybe you need something in terms of, let's say it has to do with food, right? And you come here and you're like, I need emergency food or food pantry or meals, help paying for food. Let's say I went to meals, right? This is going to take me to where the all the resources are posted based on your zip code and so forth. And then you would be able to search, right? You would type your zip code. You want to go ahead and give me your zip code?
932. Wait, what is it here? 27 Evanitas. 27? Nope. I have the one in Bakersfield memorized, so I'll just give you that one. 93263.
Okay.
93215. I've lived in too many codes.
Oh my goodness, me too, over different states. But so now that I typed it in, there we go, food. And let's see, so like meals, food pantry, you can see how many different ones come up, right? And as you're searching this, there are going to be different places that come up. And one of the things that I love about this is teachers, parents, or even yourself, right? If you notice that either A, something's not here, we can get it added, or B, if you notice that something's not accurate anymore, you could always click the pencil when you click into things to be able to see, right? So like, let's just say I went to this one, I could see exactly what, my face is in the way. There we go. Oops. There we go. Okay. And I could actually see what is the phone number to call, or what do I need to do, right, in order to get access to this? What are their hours? What's the location? Depends on what it is that you clicked on, right? But everything that we recommend in here is going to be either no cost or low cost. The other thing is that, let's say that I go back to my app. There we go. Let's say I don't want to do all that. That's stressful. I don't have time for that. You can go ahead and use that phone number right there to actually call and speak to a care coordinator. It's literally just a person who is trained in accessing all of the different resources across the state. And so you tell them what zip code, you tell them what distance you want it to be. You tell them, hey, I need it to be no cost, or I have this insurance. It's okay if it's under this insurance or no cost. And they will use this as well as look outside of here as well to find those resources for you. They'll even call and make appointments. They'll follow up with you. Really depends on what you want them to do. You might want them to just give you an answer and leave you alone. Or you might want them to like, hey, take the step for me, have them reach out to me, or schedule an appointment for next week. It's really up to you.
Hey, we have about 2 or 3 minutes remaining.
Yes. Okay. So let me go to that chat real quick. If you were on that chat, this is where you can talk with a coach. You notice you can book a coach, or you can drop in coaching. Okay. So you can get immediate support, or you can book. If you click to book, there's going to be different filters that you can choose. Is there an area of focus you want to talk about? Or is there a different type of coach that you would want to work with for you to identify with and feel more comfortable, right? Once you've chosen that, then you can pick your coach. You'll see about your coach. You can check their availability. And then you literally would just choose what works for you. It's available all days of the year. Okay. And it's going to be 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And you can choose, do you want to do text or video chat? Okay. You can book a session so that later you can check in. Or if you just immediately want to talk to somebody, you could do drop-in coaching. It lets you know, notice the type, you'll be connected with somebody right away. So just keep in mind, it's whatever works for you, right? And maybe you worked with a coach before and you're like, who is that coach again? You can click on the counterclockwise and you see all your previous coaching sessions so that you can actually schedule with the same coach, even if you don't remember who it is. So just everything in here is free. Everything in here is anonymous. And it's just all via your phone, okay? So last thing I'm going to shift over to is I'm actually going to replace this current screen, and I'm going to here we go, share. And then let me shift into that next slide. And I will end there. There we go. So that's where, if you guys want to register, all you have to enter is your birth date, your zip code, and then if you want to be able to work with a coach, you have to enter an email. Okay, so we do recommend that you don't enter, an email that is going to identify who you are, just so we keep it safe and anonymous. But that is that. I'm going to leave it there and turn it over to you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I really love the amount of time you took to actually get us in the app and not just provide the PowerPoint slides. I think that is probably the biggest thing, kids, that y'all needed to see, was that I'm hoping right now that all of you are going, this is an app I need to download today, and this is an app I need to start using this week to help me balance, to help me prepare, and to help me move forward as I just navigate all of the things that are happening in the coming weeks, months, and years ahead. So I hope you all are seeing this as a, I don't want you to think that like the state is just doing this to check a box. Like this is legit governance to help people. And so use what you have and what is here, and that's just an amazing tool that California is providing everybody. So I'm going to say thank you, Allie, for coming on over. I hope everybody in the rooms are giving just like a little round of applause or maybe an air high five to the screen for coming and showing us the app. We'll, as we progress, think about if we can welcome you back and kind of talk about maybe questions kids have about using it or additional pieces as we really kick off using it. But with that, everybody, we've only got a few minutes left, so I want to give you a couple of minutes back. And so with that, Wolfpack, remember, we are going to unite, we are going to inspire, and we are going to seize the day. With that, Wolfpack, so long, and have a beautiful and terrific Thursday.